Thanks to Klondike Bill, the ice was broken and Tony got comfortable. And on the next few episodes, certain fun themes came up over and over again.
Again, Stacy Keebler was a sweetheart of a person. She was so nice.
Who's nicer, her or Deborah?
See, I knew you were going to say that. Stacy had the nicest, longest legs that I'd ever seen. Her legs were long and lean.
I don't know where we're going here.
But I got to know the Nitro girls, Fire and Spice and all those girls, just kind of hanging out in the makeup department in the back. I would just kind of sit there and they would.
Oh my God. You know, people are hearing this. People are hearing that you've been a perv since the late 90s.
No, it's not a perv. For the longest period of time, Terry Boatwright was our makeup girl. And Terry and I were good friends.
Terry Boatwright, her stage name was Marlena, Goldust's wife.
Goldust, and that was
Runnels.
a shooting. She was Goldust's wife.
Yeah.
And so I would sit back in the makeup room and talk to the makeup artists back then because, you know, we had a lot of time on our hands. And the Nitro girls would come back and get their makeup on, and I would just kind of sit back there and talk to them, and I would have my makeup put on. Don't look at me like that. I got to know the Nitro girls very, very well.
I'm sure you did.
And I got to know, and I remember coming out of my room and seeing one of the Nitro girls coming out of a hotel room and thinking that was awfully odd to see them there. And I was just wondering if maybe that some of the Nitro girls were, I don't know, jockeying for a job. Were there to meet the WWE guys.
Jockeying for a job is a great way to turn a phrase.
I know what you're thinking. That's not what I meant.
For this, I remember a girl back in the Crockett days, good looking. Her name was Dark Journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whatever happened to her? She was like smoking hot in a very exotic way.
I have a fun story I'll have to tell you when we're not recording.
Really? Wow. Terry Boatwright was a friend of mine. And only,
of course she is.
Stop it. Terry Boatwright was a close friend of mine.
I'm sure she was.
Okay, that everybody thought I was having sex with, and I wasn't. Okay? I remember talking to Terry, did our makeup. I said, why don't you and I get together and discuss what we can be? And we came up with
a casting couch.
No, we didn't go with you son of a bitch.
I'm going to run this company someday, sugar. You know what's good for you.
And I ain't going to run it in the ground, baby.
No.
She was good looking.
How do you feel about water buffaloes? I can shampoo one.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So your idea was to go out and have wine with her and figure out what she was into and then say, that's great. No. I'll put you with Dutch.
No, that was not it at all. You are, at many times, you're a no good motherfucker many times.
Thank you. I resemble that remark.
You're welcome.
I love Medusa. Absolutely loved her. And I sent her a tweet. And I said, I love those, or sent her a text. I said, I love those tweets. And she just sent me a smiley face. And nothing happened between Medusa and I with the exception of we have always been very close friends. And let me say this. I think I saw her at WrestleCon. She looked great. Absolutely looked great. It was great seeing her.
And he's got Lady Blossom with us.
And that's worth the price of it.
I need you to tell me a little bit on.
I knew you were going to lead me into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice lady. Mega, massive boobs. Massive. Okay? And you couldn't help but notice it.
Let me ask you a question.
You know what you're trying to do, don't you? I've been married almost 36 years.
Listen,
you're trying to fuck that over is what you're trying to do.
Do you think there's no chance Louis Schiavone, A, is awake right now, and B,
would even listen to it?
Is listening to this?
She doesn't listen.
She's cooking Blue Apron and watching Young and the Restless. She's not fucking with this podcast.
Okay, you're right.
I've noticed a trend here.
All right.
You love Deborah McMichael.
Yes.
Really enjoy Lady Blossom.
Yes.
You and Steve Austin have a lot in common.
Well, some of the things that Lady Blossom put on, or failed to put on, when those big matches were pretty revealing, don't you think?
I don't have a comment.
Okay. what are they doing? What's the Divas doing now in WWE? What are they?
One of them is Ric Flair's daughter.
What's that?
One of them is Ric Flair's daughter.
Well, I understand one of them is Ric Flair's daughter, but a lot of them are just very voluptuous women. Would you say?
I'm sure they're all very nice ladies.
Well, of course they are.
I love Medusa. Medusa and I have been longtime friends. Medusa and I, when we were on the road, we went to dinner together, went to movies together, hung out. And it goes back. I see. That got your eyebrows up in the air, didn't it? We were just very good friends. And it's like I told you in an earlier segment, I've always been friends with females. And it's not that I was trying to hit on girls. And it's not a Tony Schiavone is a gay thing, which you're trying to also present out there with this Tom Zink stuff. You know, Tom Zink was vastly over. Why'd you go?
I was clearing my throat. I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought.
Well, I mean, you're talking about how attractive Tom Zink is here. I'm getting a little uncomfortable.
Okay. He was a good-looking guy, and I think if a guy like him could have.
What, you think a guy like him could fall in love with a girl like you? I mean, do you think that's possible?
And a couple other subjects came up more than once as well.
We didn't have the experience or the publicity and merchandising as the WWF had, and that was one of our weaknesses, one of our main weaknesses right there. Nor do we have the staff.
The debut of Thunder was that very Thursday, and in the main event, Diamond Dallas Page.
Thunder 1/8/1998. Remember that date, fans? Remember that date.
Is that when it was all over?
That's when the big slide began. That's when it began right there. I mean, you're letting guys like, I don't know who Jim Weiss is. I'm not so sure where Brad Siegel falls in all this, although Brad was good to me. But you got Jamie Kellner. How can a guy like Jamie Kellner be considered an executive when he lets all this money slip away? When he did not have enough vision to know where the TV business would be in all these years down the road? Just blows me away. I mean, forget about closing WCW. Talk about how much money the library is worth. How much money the library is worth.
So let's run through this. Vince has said that Siegel asked when he asked Siegel to simulcast, he was really surprised that Siegel agreed to it so easily. Was that shocking to you that the simulcast was approved?
No, not at all. Again, Vince was in a war against dumb fucks.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's just another dumb fuck right there saying, yeah, go ahead.
Triple H gets credit for that idea, and of course Vince pushed the envelope.
Showed up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I drove down from Atlanta to Fayetteville, North Carolina to talk to Kevin Dunn face to face. And Kevin said, how old are you now? I said, well, I was 40-something back and then. And he said, okay, you're not as old as I thought you were. He said, I'll call you. And he never called me. And first of all, called Vince's office and was told I needed to contact Kevin Dunn, which I tried to. And Kevin Dunn's secretary at that time was a girl named Sue. And she said, Kevin's going to call you back. He never did. And I would call again. He never did. And I would call again. And he never did. To the point to where I'm thinking, I'm getting the message here. So I contacted Triple H. I contacted Vince's office and told them I'd like you to consider me a producer of the WWE Network, because that's what I want to do. I want to go through all that old footage, build television shows, come up with ideas about new television shows and new ideas of how we can do things. I said, I want to work for the network. I want to build shows. He said, well, we certainly are looking for people to do that. And then he said, I'll call you. And he's never called me since. Triple H became obviously one of the great stars of all time. And he was smart enough to marry into the McMahon family.
Not a bad move, my friend.
Tremendous move, absolutely. I mean, and he had his picture at the White House with the president recently.
But
right?
But you remembered, or at least in your perspective, he was a good dude.
Oh my God! I remember we were at center stage and it was early, and he was setting up in one of the seats, and he was talking to Penzer, and Penzer said, "Come up here, I want you to meet him." And I went up there and sat with he and Penzer. We had a great conversation, and I remember thinking, "This is a hell of a guy. This guy is not only a nice guy, but he's really sharp about the business." And he was really a personable guy. So I knew he had a lot on the ball, and I enjoyed talking to him a lot. He didn't return my phone call last year, but I enjoyed talking to him a lot.
Who would? I mean, you know.
Who would?
Yeah.
Well, you would, motherfucker, wouldn't you? If I call you?
Oh, of course.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, I know when you call me, you're not going to be begging for a job. I mean, it's
I wasn't begging. All right. I was begging for a job, but it wasn't an announcing job. I want to make that clear, okay? I was begging for a job. And you know why I don't need an announcing job anymore?
Why is that, Tony?
Because I got this fucking podcast.
Roll Tide.
Because I got you, son of a bitch, okay? WCW planted the name of Steve Kern in the dirt sheets.
Well, I mean, that's certainly what the Torch would have you believe.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
That I probably would have been less criticized by Dave Meltzer had I called him after every fucking event like a lot of guys did.
Oh.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Mark Madden, later on in the years, even told me, Mark Madden said, you know, it's probably true that if you call Dave and talk to him, he won't be as shitty towards you. And I said, well, let's hear for journalism. So that's my response to that. And I did call Dave twice throughout my years.
And what'd you call him for?
Well, one time I was drunk. I don't know why I ended up calling him. Second time I called him was when I left WWF and came back to WCW. I did not, in the dirt sheets, want some sort of bullshit rumor floating out there. So I called Dave and said, Dave, I'm leaving, and here's why. And he put it in there exactly as I told him, in fairness to him.
I'm just curious, why does one drunk dial Dave Meltzer?
I don't know. I was so drunk I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know how I got the number. But I knew I was drunk.
Did you ever hear what you talked about with him? Because clearly you don't remember.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember. Twice I called him.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever you said.
I should have called him more times, right?
Well, I'm just wondering if what you said when you were drunk is what pissed him off so bad. And so then he just shit on your commentary for the rest of your career.
No. He wouldn't have been like, look, it's human nature. It's human nature. If you're friendly with a guy, he's going to be a little bit more fair to you when he writes or when he talks about you. I understand that. But I didn't like to play that game. I really, there was a part of me back then because of growing up in it and loving it and being a fan of it and being told by Jimmy Crockett, and what you see here stays here. There was a part of me that resented all the dirt sheets and resented them trying to expose the business. I thought they were exposing the business. There was a lot of people that really didn't look at it. They looked at it like Dave Meltzer could help their career.
Right.
We sometimes take what fans write to the Torch and say is the gospel.
Well, he says
I'm saying bullshit to some of that.
Okay, I got you, Bruce.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Fuck Dave Meltzer. Because I would never call through magic. Just stick my nose up his ass. Fuck Dave Meltzer. And I will step out and you can do the commentary. Fuck Dave Meltzer. Real jack-off named Steve Beverly. I don't even know what happened to him. Fuck Dave Meltzer. Because I didn't do enough of the Japanese-style wrestling that Dave Meltzer whacks off to. Maybe we should have had in the middle of that match, Dave Meltzer, Dean Malenko and Psychosis do a run-in and do a couple of fucking holds in the middle while all six of them looked on the outside and me stumbled over not being able to call the match that Dave Meltzer would have wanted for fucking Japan. How about that? Maybe we should have done that, and that would have helped the match. Or maybe we would have Malenko and Psychosis wait until fucking Ultimate Dragon came running in with Rey Mysterio without the mask so we could see him looking handsome, and they do a couple of fucking high spots, then fucking leave. Then Meltzer could jack off for a couple of minutes, and we could get back to the six guys in the ring having their match, which had a fucking good finish, by the way.
Fuck Dave Meltzer.